If there was ever a success story in football that has to be shouted from the rooftops, it's got to be West Ham United's season ticket renewal rate for the forthcoming season. Just a few weeks ago, people were predicting disaster. Even I, when I was asked, suggested that maybe we're going to struggle to fill the stadium next season. The expectation was that relegation would leave the London stadium half empty. Many supporters said West Ham as a football club was dead and buried, finished. Season ticket renewals, some believed that we'd struggle to hit 30,000 at best. Instead, the latest figures produced on Friday evening suggests that West Ham United have had 45,000 season ticket renewals to date. 45,000 for a championship season after relegation, after sending one of our brightest stars to Spurs, and some people were upset with that, about that, without a director of player recruitment officially announced, without making a single player signing, with the uncertainty surrounding parts of our squad. What on earth has happened? Why haven't supporters walked away as many predicted that would be the case? Because this now goes beyond just football, doesn't it? This is all about hope and trust. And perhaps for the first time in years, supporters are genuinely believing West Ham United are changing and changing for the better. Now, before I ramble on, if you're new to the channel or if you've watched the show before but yet to become a subscriber, that QR code takes you straight to the subscription page. All you got to do is click on that, become a subscriber of the channel. Excuse me, if you enjoy it, and subscription is free of charge. So, for years, there's been one relationship that became increasingly toxic at West Ham, not between players and supporters, although we've had a few fallouts with one or two, not between managers and supporters, although we've had a few fallouts with one or two, but mainly between supporters and the people running this football club. When David Sullivan and David Gold took over in 2010, many supporters believed that they were saving West Ham, or that's what they told us. Fast forward 16 years, 2 relegations later, number of managers that I've forgotten how many we've had, millions spent with little short-term planning, recruitment that often appeared to be erratic rather than strategic, broken promises, constant leaks, public disagreements, and eventually that trust, if it was ever there, completely disappeared. That, more than anything, became the biggest problem facing West Ham United. Amongst all this was the move from the Boleyn. Ask almost any supporter what hurt the most over the last decade, and many will say that exactly that. Leaving Upton Park wasn't simply about changing stadium. It felt like losing part of this club's identity. Supporters accepted the financial arguments to a point, or the lies, should I say. Bigger stadium, we were told, bigger crowds, bigger revenues, a chance with all that to compete with England's elite. But supporters weren't simply sold a stadium, they were sold a vision, a world-class team in a world-class stadium. Remember those words from Brady? Those words have followed West Ham ever since, because we waited and waited and waited, and yes, we had a bit of European glory, but that was short-lived, wasn't it? Instead, what we've experienced is inconsistency, poor planning, false dawn after false dawn. Karren Brady became the public face of that era. Many supporters believed criticism of what was happening to the club was being dismissed rather than being addressed. And that's true. Many felt that the club had simply stopped listening, or they were paying lip service without really taking any action. And then supporter groups like Hammers United launched the No More BS campaign, not because those people wanted instability at the club, but they wanted accountability. They wanted transparency. They wanted to see a level of professionalism. And above all, they wanted a football club that was actually listening to its fans. By the end of last season, that relationship had almost completely broken down. And then Everything changed. Before the season ended, one early Christmas gift, Karren Brady departed. The most recognizable face of the old regime was gone. Shortly afterwards, after we got relegated, David Sullivan stepped away from the board. Now, let's be clear, he remains a major shareholder. But this departure from the day to day running of the football club represented something quite big. For years, supporters believed every major footballing decision ultimately came through Sullivan. New managers, new transfers, contracts, negotiations, everything that happened was through him. Now, whether perception fully reflects reality almost doesn't matter because supporters believe someone else is finally steering this ship. And that has brought about a new hope. Sounds like a Star Wars movie. But on a serious note, it really has. Supporters can forgive failure and mistakes. Look, we all make mistakes, we all get things wrong. And what supporters have struggled to forgive is believing that nothing was ever going to change. Relegation's going to hurt. Relegation under hello sushi. Relegation under the same leadership, making the same decisions would have felt unbearable under Sullivan and if Brady stayed. But relegation alongside genuine structural change, now that's something completely different. Of course, it's not all going to be perfect. You know, we've just lost a very decent young talent, Matthias Fernandes, to Tottenham Hotspur. That kind of hurts a little bit because, you know, he was a sort of player that you'd hope that West Ham would build around in order to get ourselves back up into the Premier League. And Crescencio Somerville, his future still remains uncertain. And if he leaves, supporters again are going to feel disappointed. But at the same time, the picture suddenly isn't entirely negative. Jared Bowen, Tati Castellanos, both appeared in the new photos and videos for the new West Ham shirt for this season. Now, that's a massive statement, not just because of the quality of those two players, but, you know, for Bowen, he represents everything supporters admire about West Ham. Commitment, leadership, professionalism. And then Castellanos, you know, looking set to remain part of Nuno's plans again. Now, that's another reason for optimism. Suddenly, supporters aren't talking about just the departures in the squad. They're also talking about keeping key players. Then there are reports. She wants attention. Then there are reports surrounding Daniel Kretinsky. Multiple reports suggesting that he's prepared to inject around £100 million into the football club as a form of a loan for transfers. Now, supporters see something they've wanted for years: intent, ambition, a willingness to back the footballing operation and not keep being told, we're skint, we haven't got any money. For years, supporters questioned whether West Ham could ever truly compete financially. Now, they believe that could finally be changing. And then there's the recruitment. Niels Koppen. I know he still hasn't arrived yet, but supporters know why his appointment matters, because it talks about a modern footballing structure. And it talks about not just building a squad based on the manager's requirements, but a squad that's going to last this test of time. If Nuno ever left, then that squad under Koppen will continue to improve and improve. Successful clubs have got decent recruitment departments, good scouting, good data analysis, long-term planning, and footballing structures. That's what supporters have wanted all the time. Not just another transfer window based on, you know, a flutter here and a bit of desperate panic buying at the last moment. You know, they want a proper footballing department, one that's capable of making smart decisions year after year. And then there's Nuno himself. Managers often say that their coaching staff are as important as the players they have. And that's why the expected return of Rui, well, not return to West Ham, but return to working with Nuno, Rui Pedro Silva, really matters. He's worked with Nuno before. They know each other. They trust each other. Building a successful football club simply isn't about buying players. It's about building the right environment. Having familiar faces around the manager can help create that. Even something as simple as the new home kit, for example, has contributed to the mood. For years, almost every announcement from West Ham seemed to divide opinion. This time, the response has been overwhelmingly positive. Now, look, I'm not stupid. A football shirt ain't going to win matches, but it reflects something bigger. Supporters are smiling again. And when lots of little positives arrive together, they create momentum. Piece by piece, the feel good factor is returning. Bowen set to stay. Castellanos looking like he'll stay. Reports of fresh investment, a trusted assistant returning with Nuno, a well received new kit, improved communications with the fans, reduced season ticket prices, fair consultation over the crest. Individually, none of these things really change much in their own right, but collectively, they completely change the atmosphere of West Ham United as a football club. And perhaps the most remarkable part of all this, we still haven't signed anyone. We still don't know what our squad is going to look like. Think about that. 45,000 supporters have renewed before a single signing has walked through the door. That tells you quite a lot. It's not excitement over transfers, over a big star signing. It's not excitement over promotion because the promotion is not guaranteed. It's excitement over the direction of West Ham United as a football club. Football fans, as I said, won't forgive feeling ignored, but that's what's changed. For the first time in years, supporters believe this football club is finally listening. Does that mean everyone is going to be convinced? No, of course not. There are still huge questions to answer. Will Somerville stay? And if he does go, then who are we going to sign to replace him? Who are we going to resign to replace Fernandes and so on? Can Nuno deliver promotion in his first season? Will the recruitment structure be completed in time for us to start buying players in the transfer window? Will Kretinsky eventually become the controlling force supporters hope he will be? Can West Ham finally become the modern football club supporters have wanted for years? We're only going to find that out in time. But here's what we do know. A month ago, people predicted empty seats. I thought we would have empty seats. Today, more than 45,000 supporters have committed themselves to following West Ham United in the Championship. And look, it's not because the Championship is exciting. There's going to be some gory games to go through. Not because everything has been solved at the club either, but because West Ham, and not because West Ham have spent millions in the transfer market. We don't know. None of that has happened, but we have renewed because we believe. Weird that, isn't it? The belief is that the Sullivan and Brady era, it really is over. We believe that the club has turned a page. We believe the future may finally be different from the past. After years of frustration, after years of division amongst the fan base, years of broken promises, West Ham supporters are optimistic. Now, the people running this football club have got to prove that this optimism is justified. Because if they don't prove it, those 45,000 supporters won't just be remembered as renewal figures, they'll be remembered as the moment West Ham United began its next chapter. You tell me what you think. Why have 45,000 supporters renewed? Is it because season ticket prices came down, so they're cheaper, so let's go for it? Is it because Daniel Kretinsky finally appears ready to be back in the football club? Or do you think our fans are getting carried away a little bit too soon? Or is it because David Sullivan and Karren Brady are no longer around? Let me know your thoughts in your comments. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe by clicking on that QR code and hit the like button, hit the bell notification, and also hit the hype button. Thank you for watching and listening. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you very soon.